Okay, so Juneau, Alaska is actually on one of the largest wilderness areas in America.
Wow.
And I've been going on this website. You should all go, traveljuneau.com. And once you get in there, you're never going to leave until you go there physically. This area is known for its wildlife, scenery, obviously, glaciers, fishing, shopping, restaurants, breweries, I believe, and artistic flair. And today on Big Blend Radio, we have Midgi Moore, the owner of Juneau Food Tours, joining us, as well as Liz Perry, the president and CEO of Travel Juneau, joining us to talk about Juneau, give us an overview of what it tastes like, and then also what does it do in the wintertime. So check out traveljuneau.com as well as juneaufoodtours.com. And I want to bring Midgi on. Midgi, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. Excited to chat with you and find out about all the delicious food tours you take people on. It looks like not only is it food, but they're getting fun facts about the area as well on your tours.
Yeah, we like to say we feed your mind and your belly.
Okay, good.
That is,
cool.
Yeah, it's a historical walking tour. We have two primary tours, and they focus on the history and the happenings and the amazing people who built our community and built our state. And, of course, we really, on our main tour, the Tour with Taste, we focus on the chefs and the restaurants and those people who have made Juneau a dining destination. So it's really fun. And then our second tour, our Bites and Booze tour, has all that beer you were talking about. And it also has our distillery and some of our craft bars. And so it's really just a whole different side of Juneau that's been emerging, and we're really excited to showcase that.
Awesome. I'm so glad that we connected, I know through the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association, that you're connected with them, but you also are a blogger too, not only running a food company, but also blog about Juneau and food and booze.
I do. I actually got my start as a food writer and a food blogger, and then just had a natural transition into not only talking about how great Juneau is and the food and everything, but then showing people and taking them to these places so they can see it firsthand.
Wow.
And
you are what, nominated or listed as one of the top 10 food tours through USA Today?
I am, yeah. We're very excited about that. We got that recognition earlier this year. Yeah, so that was really exciting to be able to share. Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Awesome. I know. I've been also looking. I mean, that's not the only accolades you have. She's been featured in all kinds of newspapers and obviously doing something right, and obviously Juneau is too. And Liz, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about my hometown.
I'm excited. I had to learn about Alaska time. I thought you guys were, the same as us, but apparently not, because you're in a different part of the country. You guys are, you're actually an hour ahead of Pacific time, right? So that's an interesting thing. It's kind of like when we're dealing with our friends in Hawaii. And
I would have never thought that.
I know. I get twirled around. But I think the thing to do is just get there. But let's talk about Juneau. Can you give everybody kind of a visual idea of where Juneau is, and is it true that we need to get there by plane or boat?
It is true that you need to get here by plane or boat. We are not connected by any major road system at all. So every item that you see in Juneau has come up here by barge or ferry, or it's been flown in. So every nut, bolt, roll of toilet paper has come in that way.
Wow. Okay.
And geographically, we are located in southeast Alaska, and we are in the northern portion of Alaska's Inside Passage. That's the southeast panhandle. That is, it's the Alexander Archipelago. So there are thousands of islands, big and small, all through that area, and it is the primary route for most of our cruise ship traffic.
Okay,
so our weather is very, very different, and the climate is very, very different from what visitors will experience in Anchorage or in the interior.
Because you also have a rainforest, right? You're in the middle of a rainforest.
We are nestled up, as Midgi said, just right up against the Tongass National Forest, and that is several hundreds of thousands of acres of national forest, a lot of old growth trees. So Juneau is right at the water's edge because the mountains rise up right from the sea. So we are hemmed in by the mountains, and we, as the capital city of Alaska, we are the largest in geography and square miles of any capital city in the U.S.
Wow. You go, man.
Wow.
You got it. Now, okay, so if you really get there through plane or boat, what about drive? Do you have cars on your island?
Well, Juneau is on the mainland, and yes, we do have paved roads, some very good paved roads, but our cars come up by ferry or by barge, and that's how we get them here.
Okay,
Wow.
so we can get there. I have had a dream about doing the ferry across. Like, I don't know if you go from Washington across. I've always wanted to do one of those ferries, and so is that where people come from mostly? Would be from Washington?
They come from two different directions. Normally, you can catch the ferry in Washington State in Bellingham, and that's part of the Alaska Marine Highway System. It's operated by the state, and that's basically, it operates as the road system for the Inside Passage and coastal Alaska. That's the way we move goods, people, and equipment around through Southeast. And you can come up through Washington State. You can also catch the ferry in Prince Rupert, British Columbia. From the north, you can get on the ferry from either Haines, Alaska, or Skagway, which is north of Juneau, about 40 and 70 miles respectively.
Okay, so I have to ask, in the wintertime, in the summertime, do you have nonstop sunshine in the summer and nonstop darkness in the winter? What happens?
Well, we're not quite as extreme as the northern portions of the state are. That said, in the summertime, we typically have approximately about 18 hours of just full-on daylight. During the solstice, it will get a little dusky, but it doesn't get completely dark, and it'll stay that way for a week or so on either side of solstice. Then the opposite is true as we approach solstice in December for the winter. We will typically have only about 4.5 to 5 hours of sunshine, or daylight basically, between about 9:30 in the morning and about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Wow.
And then it starts to get dark again.
Do you do night skiing?
Yeah.
Night skiing has been available, and there are lots of people who put on their headlamps and their reflective gear, and they ski out close to the Mendenhall Glacier. The local Nordic Ski Club grooms the trails out at the Mendenhall Glacier Federal Campground, and they open that up to the public, and it is a great nighttime ski, especially on a fabulous day like we're having today, where it's nice and sunny. You get some moonlight out on Mendenhall Lake, and it is an absolutely beautiful evening ski.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know how to ski, but I want to do it. Like, I want to go out and can we cross country ski, or
yes.
do the snowshoe thing? Because I might fall down.
we have all types of skiing available. You can snowshoe. When we get plenty of snow generally about starting in January, early February. We also have a city-owned ski area on Douglas Island, just across Gastineau Channel, owned and operated by the city and borough of Juneau, and it is a gem of a ski area. Most people will say that it is one of the best-kept secrets that Juneau has. You have lift tickets that are very, very reasonable. It is not crowded. It's open midweek through the weekend, and we're also part of the Freedom Pass program, in which there are a number of ski areas and resorts that have this pass available, and it gets you in for 3 days of skiing free. So there's that. We also have a boarding pass deal where if you arrive in Juneau early in the morning, we have several flights that do that. Go straight to Eagle Crest, get your skis on. It's maybe a 25 to 30-minute drive from the airport, and you can ski free on the same day as your boarding pass. You just have to present that to the Eagle Crest staff when you come in.
This is super cool. And when you get hungry, call Midgi. And
yes.
This is interesting, Midgi. Let's talk about the food, because you think about snow, and you okay. So do you have greenhouses to grow, I mean, what happens in regards to where your ingredients come from? Obviously, you've got to have a lot of seafood, right?
Right. Well, a lot of our seafood is mostly in the summer, like the salmon runs are in the summer, but we do have things called winter kings. We'll have a winter king salmon run. We have halibut, things like that. Crab. Crab is actually a winter food. What's really kind of cool, though, is we have some local farmers who have actually started doing vertical and hydro farming in greenhouses, whereas in Southeast Alaska, it's very difficult to farm because it rains so much because we are in a rainforest. So these folks have taken on that challenge and created farms so that we can locally source fresh produce. Everything from microgreens to lettuces, pickles. They have great cucumbers. The lettuce actually is the big thing right now because the butter lettuce is amazing. And those are going into our restaurants. Not only can we, as a consumer, buy them and take them home and have deliciousness all winter long, but we can also get them in our restaurants, which is really, really fun.
This is super exciting, I think, because you want to have, your ingredients come from as close as possible, whether it's, boat to table or farm to table, vertical gardens. That is exciting. So you've got these greens, you've got the crabs, and but you also mentioned, which I think is very important, breweries and distilleries. So let's tell us about the distillery.
Oh, great. Yeah. So one thing I do want to tell you, too, is about locally sourced. You can't get any more locally sourced than Alaska because it doesn't just mean going out to our local farmers. It actually means going out and foraging in our forests and on our beaches. So many of our chefs will forage for mushrooms, and they forage for greens, and they forage for what's called beach asparagus, and which some people call sea beans. And so we have all this amazing stuff that's right here that they go out and they get off of our lands and out of our waters, and they put on in their restaurants. So locally sourced here is like next level in Alaska, and it's
cool.
so
it's
incredible.
Like European.
So
it sounds very European to me.
It just sounds very delicious to me. But it's also one of the things. One of the things that I'm very keen about in telling people is that, food is memories and food connects you to those communities. And so when you come on our tours and, for example, go to the Amalga Distillery, which we do on our Bites and Booze tour, you're actually going to be drinking some of Alaska because they forage a lot of their botanicals that go in their gin. It's called Juneau per gin, like Juneau per gin, which is a nice play on words. And they put Devil's Club, which is an indigenous plant to Alaska, which you would think it's part of the ginseng family, but it's very thorny and spiny. So I tell people it's sort of like Alaska's cactus. And they do Labrador tea and spruce tips and all these other things that grow in our forests and on the lands, and they put those in their gin. So no batch is the same. Every batch is different based on what they can get, but there's certain components of it that are the same. So it's really fun, and they take those botanicals, they make this amazing gin, and then they make really delicious cocktails with their products. And they also have now in storage, doing its magic, their first whiskey. So their whiskey should be done in probably about a year and a half. And so we're all just sitting here waiting.
I bet.
But
I'm coming.
It speaks to the...
I know.
It really speaks to the Alaskan ingenuity.
How warm does it actually get? Because, I'm sure I'm not the only one who just sees snow. You say Alaska, and I see snow. And now you're talking about, botanicals, and I'm like, okay, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So in Alaska, in Southeast Alaska, as Liz was saying earlier, in Southeast Alaska, think of it more like Seattle, but a little bit cooler. Seattle has, it's very lush and green, lots of pine, evergreens, things like that. Well, we have our spruce tips, our spruce trees. The Sitka spruce is the state tree. And so here, as far as temperature, in the summer, normally the highest it would get is maybe low 70s. We do, this particular summer, 2018, sometimes get in the low 80s, which is very rare and hopefully doesn't last very long because it's not good for the environment. It's actually not good for our ecosystem. The streams can get really low. Salmon can't get up in them and spawn, things like that. So we like those cooler temperatures. And we've learned, too, that our visitors actually come up here going, I just came from Arizona. I don't want to be in a T-shirt.
No.
I want some cold. So when it's the cold, misty days, we actually find the visitors are really happy. And and starting usually typically mid-July, we go back into our rainy season where a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to come in August. It'll be nice and warm. And actually, usually it's raining. But we don't get like the torrential downpours like you see in the movies and stuff. We do get rain like that, but that's usually in October, November. But what we get is a lot of misty rain. We like to call it the spa rain because it's really good for your skin. But it's,
we need that
beautiful.
Being in the
and
desert.
Exactly. And it makes everything just so vibrant and rich and green and lush and just even more beautiful.
See, I get intoxicated with green, like, and I love the desert, and but whenever we start driving out and going somewhere new and there's green, all of a sudden I'm just like, I do literally hug the trees and go like, you are green, because you can't hug the green things here in the desert. You'll get hurt.
No, they'll hurt you.
I know it's saguaros don't want to be hugged. They say no. But this is the thing. What's so exciting hearing about your region. I know with Nancy and I going on our Love Your Parks tour, and we keep looking at Alaska and like, how are we going to do Alaska? But there's so many parks, and it seems to be such an amazing quality of life in regards to living with nature, coexisting, and seeing things like glaciers. So do a lot of people, Liz, come over mostly for the nature experience, the outdoors, under the visitors?
I would say that that's absolutely true, and Juneau has outdoor experiences in spades. We have water experiences where they can get out and go whale watching, go fishing. We have more miles of hiking trails than we do paved road. And we are the jump-off point to Glacier Bay. There are ferries and in the summertime, regular flights over to Gustavus, and that is kind of the gateway to Glacier Bay National Park. So that I would say that our outdoor experiences and especially our glacier experiences are part and parcel of why people come up here.
I have a friend who took a trip to Alaska, and it just blew her mind, and she made me really jealous because I'm such a nice friend. She went on a helicopter and landed on a glacier, and this was her most ultimate experience in her life. That was close, along with getting married and having children. That experience blew her mind. Is that something we can do when we come to Juneau?
In the summertime, that is absolutely true. There are helicopter tours that do a number of excursions. We have a number of operators that do that. We also have plane excursions that fly around over the Juneau ice field and describe the glaciation and the geology of the Juneau ice field and give you beautiful, just stunning views of those glaciers. And one of those trips actually lands in a fjord, and passengers can take part in a salmon bake. And one thing I want to mention too is that Juneau is fun year round. We when things kind of slow down after the cruise passengers have gone their way and the last ship has left, we call that Juneau time. So we want to encourage people to consider Juneau in the winter to take advantage of our full art scene and really experience Juneau as a local. We call that Juneau time. And it's a completely different experience for travelers as well. We have a thriving art scene. We have 2 opera companies. We have a self-sustaining symphony. We have a professional theater company here. We have an award-winning state library and museum. Lots of things going on. And Juneau has been named in the top 10 on vibrancy scale for arts communities, for small communities. So we encourage people to come up and take advantage of that, take advantage of the Alaskan Native art experiences that we have, and see Juneau in a completely different way.
I'm sold, man.
Yeah.
I was sold before you came on the show, and I'm really sold. Put me on the boat. Put me on the plane. I want to go to Alaska. Put me on the ferry. The art thing, that's such a, again, this sounds like quality of life to me, and I get so excited when I see destinations like what you're doing, and the going foraging. It just seems that you get to slow down. It feels like you
natural.
slow down and do things naturally.
Natural.
Very natural. And just really that quality of life. And the history part, I was looking too, you have some really incredible museums that people can go to as well.
We do. I mentioned earlier the new State Library and Museum. It's about 2 years old, and again, it's already won some awards for its architecture and its displays. We also are home to Sea-Alaska Heritage Institute and their beautiful longhouse concept building right in the center of downtown that honors the area's Alaska Native culture, language, and history. Lots of totem poles around town as well. There are lots of opportunities for people to get engaged as well. And the beautiful thing about it is that you can do Juneau in a long weekend. We're only 2 hours north of Seattle. We get regular service from Alaska Airlines and multiple flights daily. We have hotels right downtown, and the airport is only 10 minutes from the downtown core.
So we could do this year-round easy from Seattle. So now you're okay. Come in, because that makes it sound so much easier than what you think. When you start trying to plan and look at Alaska. Now I'm like, that's easy. We're doing that.
I think part of the reason that we who have not yet been there feel like it's so far away is on a lot of maps they kind of take Alaska, Hawaii, and put them in a corner somewhere, and you don't see
the full extent,
like where Alaska really is joined and
how.
And
the other piece of that is people don't get the sense of scale, how big Alaska is. And if you've ever seen, I would invite you to go online and look at a map that overlays the state on the lower 48, and it stretches basically from side to side, east to west.
Wow.
So we're 2.5 to 3 times the size of Texas. When we had the earthquake just a couple of weeks ago, one of the running jokes was we attempted to split the state in two so that Texas would be the third biggest state in the United States.
That's funny.
I like that.
It's a good thing you're not California. You may. I'm just kidding, but it is incredible to me just looking at everything. I want to go back to the food tours because when we out and about, is this mostly a walking tour, Midgi, or how do people get around for this?
Yes, so we have our 2 primary tours are walking tours, and we meet our guests right in the downtown area where the ships dock, so they can just meet us right there. If they're independent travelers and are coming from a hotel, it's really easy to find us because we start at a very prominent landmark, Fisherman's Memorial. And we walk through the city. It's just over a mile, but we stop at all the different locations and highlight the food and the history and things like that. So some places we stand, some places we sit. But the nice thing is it's very easy to walk and it's wheelchair accessible. And we're really excited about that because we do have a lot of visitors who come with mobility issues, and we're excited that we're able to accommodate most of that. And the other thing that we really love is that we highlight our restaurants and our chefs. In 2015, Juneau was recognized as one of the top 10 small cities for dining by Thrillist. And so we were very excited about that Juneau is getting on the map as a dining destination. And I've always joked I'm on this one-woman mission to make Juneau a dining destination. But I think that it's what these chefs and what these restaurateurs are doing that creates such an incredible environment for food and for just experiencing Alaska. And so through our tours, we do that. We share that information that oftentimes get to meet the owners in the restaurants and the chefs and the people who make it. We work really hard to connect with everybody.
Now, what about this Prohibition Progressive Party? I'm sorry, but as soon as I hear the word Prohibition, I know we need to tear things down. No, what's going on with this?
So with the Prohibition dinner, actually, I started that in the winter of 2015. My tour, I started my company in 2015. I was my first season. And at the end of the season, my husband was like, you need to get a winter job. And I was like, I have one. I'm building an empire. And so in order to keep him from telling me I had to go work at Walmart or somewhere, I created another tour. And I was like, oh, this will never sell. But it sold out. It was really very successful. And what it is a 3-course meal. and it's a progressive dinner with location for appetizer, the next location for the entree, and the final location for dessert. And all 3 locations, of course, we have cocktails because it's Prohibition. And but we tell the story of Prohibition, how it got started, why it happened, and also how Alaska played a very key role in it, because Alaska actually was a dry state 2 years prior to Prohibition becoming legal. And we talk about the bootleggers and the terminology and all of the fun history of that time of year, which was in our history that was very decadent, and we have glamorized it. And so we get down to some of the little truths of it, and it's a lot of fun. I always encourage people, dress up, definitely get into the spirit of it. And so what we do now with that particular thing, it's private parties. And it's a minimum of 4 people, but you can book it any day, anytime you want. And that way it's not just on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. You're not if you're coming up during the middle of the week, just let me know. I'll work it out with the restaurants, and then we go ahead and schedule it.
That is so much fun. And the bootleggers, okay, so,
pirates and bootleggers.
Yeah, so was it rum or whiskey or both? Or neither?
For the U.S., it was all of it. The rum came up from Cuba, and then whiskey came down from Canada. And then in Alaska, actually, they made their own. And one of the things, have you heard that term hooch in reference to, that's actually a Tlingit Alaskan term called Huchino, because when white guys showed up here and they started making vodka, because most of them were Russians, the locals, the natives, they said, oh, well, we can do that too, and they made their own, and it's called Huchino, and which became the term hooch. So that is actually an Alaska term. Yeah, so it's kind of fun that we share all that information and different things. And I think the thing that we really like to focus on with our tours is that we don't want to just feed you great food. We actually want you to have an experience with us, and that it's when you leave that time you spent with us, you find it not only valuable but really fun. And like, wow, man, I can't wait to go back to that restaurant because we learned about that chef's history and how he studied in Michelin star restaurants, and how this guy, he just studied on his own and learned all these great techniques because he just loved cooking, and these kinds of things. And so we really like to highlight all of that.
And it's exciting to me. I think tours, I know as travel writers, you live off of that because that's where you're getting those nuggets of information that make the story, make things, you understand what you're seeing and doing. Like if you go to a national park, try and take a ranger program. It really helps, going to visitor centers, things like that. But, to me, I feel like, going on a food tour with you should be one of the first things you do because now you're understanding, the flavor of the area and the history, obviously, as well. So I think that's one of those things that really, it just enhances a stay in a place. You get to really understand the stories of a place, and that's exciting what you're doing.
That's what you take home.
Yeah. So you're doing that, and you're blogging, and so do you connect with other writers and other people from IFTWA up there, or are you the correspondent?
I do.
The Alaskan correspondent.
Actually, yeah. So I joined the association because I wanted to eventually become a food travel writer, like the job after the job after the job kind of thing. And so I actually, as a member, I'm just learning through observing. But I also talk to people. They're really good at reaching out to me and helping me maximize my membership and stuff. I do not submit a lot of articles because I'm still relatively new at that. But what I have hosted travel writers and been able to talk about Alaska and talk about Juneau and the food scene and things, and like little nuggets of information, as you were saying, where it's like there's a huge cooking competition in the U.S. called the Great American Seafood Cook-Off that's held every year in New Orleans. And the only Alaskan chefs to ever win that are 2 chefs from Juneau, Chef Bo Schooler, who won in 2015, and Chef Lionel Yupara, who won in 2017. And so we were so proud of them. And so those are things like I really get to share with the writers. And so I host writers all summer, which is really fun because there's nothing I love more than talking about my town and feeding people. It's a good job that I have.
Yeah, you do. Cool.
But the other thing, too, I did want to share with you, because we would love to have some folks come up in the winter, is I'm also launching a ghost tour. And, of course, there will be liquid courage involved in that. So that, you know, you can't come up to Juneau and not have a drink.
Yeah.
And so we have, so we start out with a little liquid courage, and then we end it with I made it through that beer tasting. So, so that we're really excited to start offering some winter activities and year-round activities like the Prohibition Tour, the Ghost Tour, and then we have private cooking classes and things like that as well. So, yeah.
This is great. And so IFTWA members, like, go to Juneau. Liz, you're happy with that, right? Travel writers
I would be
through.
ecstatic with that.
Yeah, this is really fascinating, and it's so interesting that geographically you're, you know, the largest capital city. So when we think about that, you're, you know, large, but then at the same time, it didn't seem to me from what I was reading that you're like you know, major traffic jams and things like that. It's not like being in downtown LA or anything like that. It's pretty. It to me kind of looks like just a really warm community, literally. You know, it doesn't feel so big.
Is. It is, and although we are geographically big, we're a small town. We have 33,000 full-time residents. We have one main road that goes north to south along the mainland that pulls the community together. We have one bridge that connects the community with Douglas Island, and there are neighborhoods along Douglas Island. But we are very tight-knit. We take care of each other. We look out after each other, and we're just a small capital city in population, but we got big hearts.
I love this. Okay, so now, you see, we have the travel mascot, and her name is Priscilla. She is a pink sock monkey. That's why I was raving that it's Monkey Day today, because she's a sock monkey. And she says that both of you need a little mini vacation, and she wants to send you on a mini vacation in Juneau. So you got to do local Juneau. Hey, by the way, you even have a whole Facebook thing just for the local Juneau, right? For Travel Juneau Local.
That's correct. Our Travel Juneau Local page is a way for us to roll out events and information to our locals and let them stay abreast of what Travel Juneau is doing for the community.
I want to be a local. I want to be a local. I do. So you're going to take a local vacation. You're going to play in Juneau for a weekend. Okay, no working, but you're going to go out and play for a weekend in winter. So I want each of you to tell me what you're going to do over the weekend. And so let's start with you, Midgi. You're not working though, even though your work is fun.
What would I do over a weekend in the winter?
Yeah, all expenses paid, by the way, because Priscilla, our sock monkey,
all expenses
she's
paid.
Really rich.
Okay, well, okay. So the first thing I would do is on Friday night I would gather all my friends. Probably there's and we would do a chef's tasting dinner at Salt, where Chef Lionel Upita is the executive chef, because he does course dinners with the wine pairings, and that's my favorite way to eat. And so we would start out with that. And actually, prior to that, we would have a full night of it. We'd go to cocktails, pre-dinner cocktails at Amalga Distillery and have some of their gin and tonics, which they also make their tonic in-house, so it's super cool. And then we would go to dinner at the Salt and have the chef's tasting. And then we would wrap it up at the Narrows, which is a really cool craft cocktail bar owned by this local young man, Jared Curie. And he actually uses ice from the glaciers. He actually has an ice wrangler bring him ice from our glaciers, and he uses that in his cocktails.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, okay,
so,
wait
I mean, I like that.
This is as local as it gets. This is crazy.
Ice wrangler.
You have an ice wrangler from the glaciers? No, you can't beat that.
So
this
I'm just saying that's the thing.
Dang.
So like I was saying, locally sourced at a whole new level. So so then we would do that, and then maybe we would go to the Imperial, where they have dancing, and where I have worked with the bar there to create a signature cocktail, which has a terrible name but is quite delicious. It's called the Eagle Fart, which if you are a visitor to Alaska, you have to have either a duck fart, or in our case, we have eagle farts, because in Southeast Alaska, we have eagles everywhere, and it is a shot with Bailey's, Kahlua, and vodka, which we had made specifically for our Bites and Booze tour. So we would wrap up the night with some shots and that. So that would be Friday night. Saturday, we're going to sleep all that off, And then definitely go out to the Mendenhall Glacier because the glacier is open on the weekends. The visitor center is open, but also they have a ton of trails, and it's just really beautiful. And I am not a big-time skier, but a lot of my friends are. So sometimes I'll go up with them to the ski area and just hang out for a little while, have a hot chocolate, watch the skiers and things like that. So at Eagle Crest, it's just beautiful and so accessible. So that's kind of my weekend, and in between that, I'm probably napping because it's my downtime, and I like to catch up on all the sleep I missed during the winter or the summer.
Wow, this is cool. By the way, your cocktail, your Eagle Fart, we used to run all these cocktail contests, and one of the cocktails are the same, except for you added Sambuca, and you called it the Barman's Belch. That's what that was like.
Oh, wow.
Good. Yeah, you wouldn't think about putting Sambuca in there. But a dark Sambuca is really good.
Well, the duck fart actually got famous from the Deadliest Catch, and it is a shot with Bailey, Kaluas, and Crown. And at the end of the season, all the captains would meet in a bar in Dutch Harbor and have a toast to their success and safety returning and all of that. And so in Alaska, it's become quite a popular drink. And actually, one of our saloons here, the Red Dog, they're famous for serving the duck farts. And so we wanted to do something for our Bites and Booze tour that was just a little bit different. And so we did the Eagle Fart. Because we have so many eagles in Southeast Alaska all year round, and it's so beautiful, and it's things that visitors love seeing the most.
Yeah.
And we see them as we're walking along the Seawalk pretty often.
Really?
And so I was like, we need to do an homage to this bird that brings so much joy to everybody. And so we created this drink, and I just have to go on record saying I did a lot of R&D. I took one for the team. I drank a lot of those things to make sure we got the right one.
And she went around trying to hear every fart from every eagle, too. Like, let me hear that again so I know exactly how to make this drink. I love this.
I'm not ready. I got to do some more research.
I know. So, Liz, that brings a question, bird watching. Is that something, I know we talk about wildlife watching. You've got bear and you've got all kinds of cool critters, but bird watching, is that something that people come out to Juneau for?
It is, and it's becoming more and more popular as time goes on. Of course, we have eagles and any one of a number of species. It happens that the State Audubon Society is putting together a bird trail for Southeast Alaska. Which they are putting together, and Juneau has a number of spots on that trail for various species of birds, whether if they're water birds or forest birds, and they've got all of that outlined, and they're getting ready to roll that out probably next summer. So that's in development, and we are very excited to be part of that.
Okay, I want to be a local. I want to be a local of Juneau. I would say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Okay, so Liz, you get a weekend off. What are you doing?
Well, on my weekend off, I would probably, in a way, follow suit with Midgi. That's my opportunity to get out and about. Juneau is a very outdoor town, so I'm going to take advantage of the sunlight in the wintertime and get out and get a hike in. Hikes are available throughout the Mendenhall Glacier area and a number of other places, and from our perspective, it's the old Norwegian saw about there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear. So you gear up, you put your cleats on, you grab your poles, and you get outside and enjoy the daylight that is available to you. So I'll be doing quite a bit of that. And also, maybe incorporating some of the fabulous local ingredients, like kelp salsas and pickles, and putting together charcuterie trays and having a few people in for some drinks. Do those kinds of activities as well, and maybe even take in a quick tour of the Slam because they have ever-changing displays at the museum.
Now, are you going to have an eagle fart? I just have to.
I might have an eagle fart. I'm much more likely to go to either Amalga Distillery or to the Narrows and have one of their signature cocktails. Those are a little more on my line.
Okay. Cool. All right. You guys, or ladies, I should say, this sounds like just a paradise to me. Everyone, again, the website, JuneauFoodTours.com. Go have an eagle fart, duck fart, eagle fart. Go have fun. Go play Prohibition. And also go to traveljuneau.com. We want to give a shout out to the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. They totally rock. And their website for anyone on the destination side, the travel writing, photography side is ifwtwa.org. Thank you both for joining us. We even have special music for you. So we really appreciate you joining us and giving us a scoop of what it's like to travel to Juneau, not just in the winter, but year-round. Thank you both.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and allowing us the opportunity to brag about our town, and we hope y'all will come up and visit us.
Oh, we are.
Oh, we will.
You're on the tour map. You're definitely we may want to do it sooner than later now. Yeah, that's the problem. Now we have to figure that out. But definitely.
Well, hi, and I just want to let your listeners know too that if they have any questions at all, there's an 888 number available that they can call and get those travel questions answered by a live person at Travel Juneau.
Okay.
Wow,
do you want to give everyone the number in case they can write it down? You never
Sure.
know. They might be at their computer.
It's 888-586-2201, and we'll be happy to answer your Juneau questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. We're going to play a song called Oh, Alaska. It's one of my favorite. It's from Robbie Boyd, and you can go to robbie-boyd.com. That's ROBBIE, robbieBoyd.com. Here it is. Thanks, ladies. Take care and have a wonderful weekend and holiday season.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Alaska, won't you give me shelter and take me under your wing? Oh, Alaska, I heard you're the last great place the earth has ever seen. Oh, Alaska, won't you take me somewhere I can go to get a change of pace? Oh, Alaska, can you paint me a picture of your beautiful embrace? Dreaming of home, can you see it? I've been here for too long, can you feel it? I'm moving home to the last frontier. Well, if you gotta move on, let me hear it. You got to be strong to achieve it. We'll do it our way on the last frontier. Oh, Alaska, I'll look north to the future. That's how I want to live my life. Oh, Alaska, be my Mother Nature. I can't wait to see your northern lights. Oh, Alaska, come a little closer. I have nearly reached your silver shore. Oh, Alaska, you're not like the others. You can show me what I'm looking for. Dreaming of home, can you see it? I've been here for too long, can you feel it? I'm moving home to the last frontier. Well, if you gotta move on, let me hear it. You got to be strong to achieve it. We'll do it our way on the last frontier. Gotta move on, let me hear it. You got to be strong to achieve it. We'll do it our way on the last frontier. The last frontier. The last frontier. The last frontier.